Hey everybody, before we get started on this, I decided to try my hand at a little bit of merchandise for the channel, so you can check it out in the description section below. Let's get into it. Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. What's up guys? Today I wanted to talk just briefly about something that Ryan Murphy recently said about American Horror Story and its potential future. This includes seasons beyond season 10 and whether or not American Horror Story might be moving on from FX into another streaming network like Netflix. With all of that being said, let's jump right into the quote. When asked what might happen if FX pulls the plug after season 10, Ryan Murphy had to say, "It does incredibly well on Netflix, which I love, and I have a lot of my shows on Netflix that air on FX. I reap the benefits of both. Look, John has always been incredibly honorable about American Horror Story, and he would obviously like to keep it going, and I'd like to keep it going. We're in the middle of negotiations about beyond season 10. We have had conversations about this show going 20 seasons. If John for some reason said, we don't want to make this anymore, would I call up Netflix? Yes, but he's only ever expressed love and enthusiasm, and he wants to keep it going. We're both very proud of it." He continued, "It's FX's most highly rated show in the history of the network. It's had 96 Emmy nominations. I hope, knock on wood, we get past 100. It's one of the most awarded and lauded shows of that network, and I have very good intentions of it staying there, and I think he does too. We're talking about it, we're trying to figure it out." He said a little bit more about the potential future or even themes of season 10 or any seasons beyond that, which I'll get to near the end of this video, but I really wanted to focus on some of the things that Ryan had to say there. For one, I have been telling you guys for weeks that it seems incredibly unlikely that Netflix will ever get to produce American Horror Story like it is their flagship show. One of the things that Ryan Murphy had to say at the end there is that unlike almost anything else that FX has ever produced, and let's be clear here, FX has produced some of the best cable shows that we have seen over the last decade. In fact, they continue to do so. But regardless of the quality of any other show that they have put out there within the last 10 years, American Horror Story is in fact their golden child. It's not just their most highly rated show, it has also served up a substantial amount of award recognition. If you've been following the back and forth and various quotes from people, you know that John Landgraf is very excited to see this show continue past season 10, and if you've been listening to my commentary about this, you know one of the reasons they gave it 10 seasons to begin with was, at least theoretically, just a knee-jerk reaction to Netflix making such a substantial deal with Ryan Murphy to produce shows for them later. Looking at FX's decision to renew American Horror Story for 2 more seasons during the course of season 8 should be seen as a huge vote of confidence for the show and its creative team, especially given the continued performance of the series throughout season 9. Yes, this show in later years has failed to reach the heights of its original run, but such can be said about every scripted television show on modern day cable. So AHS's continued high performance is something that FX shouldn't want to be giving up anytime soon, especially since they haven't found anything to replace it yet. So when tackling this question and the answer that Ryan Murphy gave, what he's really trying to say here is that right now everything is negotiable. They want more seasons. Everyone involved is gung-ho to keep this show going for the next couple of years. But in reality, he realizes that it is possible that FX will not want to continue the deal any further, and that he would have the option before everyone's contract runs out to shop the show around. And it's possible with the current streaming wars, with Disney Plus having 10 million subscribers in the first day, as well as Netflix trying to keep as much quality content on their site as possible, that something like American Horror Story with a built-in fan base would be appropriate for them to pick up and continue further. I don't think that's going to happen at all. I feel like in general, if that does happen on FX's level, they don't want any more of these seasons. It's far more likely that Disney and Fox will pay to pick it up, and they will place it on Hulu's platform, which they just recently signed a deal to put all of FX shows exclusively on Hulu, at least here in the States. But I guess for most people, myself included, it is really nice to hear that Ryan Murphy is at least gung-ho enough to want this show to continue for a couple more seasons and would be willing to at least shop it around to Netflix to see if they're interested. The other big revelation that we got here is that Ryan Murphy wants this show to continue for 20 seasons. That really, at least to me, the fact that he's saying it in public shows that he wants this show to not end around season 10. Maybe that's because they are in negotiations, which is the other big revelation here. I mean, it's really not ending and they're trying to figure out another deal. If you ask me, just my speculation, near the time season 10 either comes out or quickly after it comes out, we're going to be getting some kind of green light deal for another 2 seasons up until season 12, or if they're ballsy, up until season 13. I know a lot of you guys in the comment section are really gung-ho about there being at the very least 13 seasons of American Horror Story because of the connection between the number 13 and America's superstition about that number and its unluckiness. However, even with all of that being said, I would not get your hopes up for a 3-season renewal anytime soon. At the very most, we're going to be getting 2, if not 1 per season at this point. The fact of the matter is, no matter how you slice it, no matter how well it's doing in comparison to everything else, American Horror Story is still a week-to-week cable show in a time where all of the formulas that calculate success are kind of on the fritz and we're not entirely sure how to read certain popularities of one show to another. But either way, it would be awesome for American Horror Story to get to 20 seasons because we've already seen so many shows play off into the sunset with 15 or 16 seasons. All of the Law and Order shows that got to 20 seasons, the original and SVU. I mean, it's not unprecedented for a show, especially like this, to get that many seasons and play on the air for that long. It just depends on what story ideas they have and how much passion everyone has for it, as well as how successful it is year to year. Consolation right here is, at least for all 3 of those questions, the answers look fairly bright at this point. And that's one of the reasons I suspect that we're going to be getting at least until season 12 of American Horror Story, if not much more. So just to recap, I don't think that FX is going to be giving up on American Horror Story. Even if they do, I feel like Disney and Fox would stop it from going to Netflix altogether and they would put it on Hulu. In the meantime, it's starting to look way more likely that we're going to get at least more than 10 seasons, probably 12, 13, if not all the way to 20, which would be crazy. Anyway, before we go here, I wanted to talk just briefly about the hints that we've gotten, or at least questions that people have asked of Ryan Murphy about the possibility of going into space for a future American Horror Story season. Now, just to be clear, this was the prevailing rumor of what season 8 was going to be before we realized that it was going to be the crossover between Murder House and Coven. They promised that for season 9, but they moved it up and then ultimately gave us 1984. On the question of whether or not we're going into space anytime in the future of the series, he says, I'm keeping mum. It would be hard because it's called American Horror Story and you'd have to stay within the legal soil limits in order to make that work. We're working on an idea for season 10 that I think people will love because it's about reuniting fan favorite actors to come back, because it might be our last season. It's our last season we have contracted. So I've been quietly reaching out to various people. Some people I haven't reached out to yet because I'm like, do I have a role for them? So far, everyone I reached out to said yes. So that's been great. So look, going off that quote, there's not a ton there, but what I will say is one of the things I've been clamoring for as a fan for a very long time is a reintroduction of the aliens. Not only that, but something to do with space or the concept of it. We can get an urban legends concept still dealing with aliens and the concept of space sometime in the future, or we can do a general sequel to Asylum at some point where we're dealing with the aliens and the fallout from there. The most important thing here is that he's talking about fan favorite actors coming back for certain roles in next season because it might be their last one. This, for most people, would point to at least Sarah Paulson and Evan Peters in next season, but could it also mean someone like Jessica Lange? I'm not so sure about that one, but it would be really interesting to see so many people come back. One of the things I would love, and this is just completely me, if it is going to be their last season, just bring back all of the main hitters from at least the first 2 seasons. That way it would kind of feel like a proper send-off to everything. But I want to hear everyone's thoughts and opinions about what Ryan Murphy had to say here. Do you think it's possible that it will go to Netflix? Do you think it's possible it will go to another streaming service, or will FX just not give it up? At the same time, what do you want season 10 to be about? I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. It's been real.